His glasses so I can see.
I'm trying to put.
Hi, my name is Sharon Jenkins. I'm the Master Communicator. This is the Literary Fellowship, and I am pleased to have Dannette Davis and also my friend Debra Atkins. Hi, ladies.
Hello, Miss Sharon.
How y'all doing today?
Well,
Yeah,
great, great, great.
very great.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
had a few struggles. There's some Google gremlins out there who were causing us to have a few difficulties. But we are women that persevere. Am I right?
Oh, for sure.
Amen.
For sure.
I am so glad to see you all and so glad that we are finally in the hangout.
Yay.
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
Oh,
And
praise
that's coming in mildly.
You know what? I want to say you two ladies are phenomenal. I remember when I did Benjamin Thomas Worthington Resurrected, and there was my sweet Deborah Atkins there holding my hand. That was the first time I
Did it.
ever met Deborah. Deborah, tell everybody about yourself, please.
Well, my name is Deborah Atkins, and I am a playwright, a Garfield inspired playwright that produces stage plays. I've been writing, producing for the last 25 years. It's definitely the ministry that God has given me. Did not ask for this gift. It's kind of bestowed upon me to do. And just because I am obedient, I just began to write plays and produce plays. And the more I began to write, I guess the better I began to get at it. And somehow God just has anointed me to do this. So I've been doing it for the last 25 years.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about your last play.
Well, actually, the last play is called Finally Good Enough. And actually, we're going to be doing this play again in January. So I just got another opportunity to do the play in January in Baytown at Lee College. And Finally Good Enough is actually a three-part series. This is the final chapter of the I'm Sorry I'm Not Good Enough series. And of course, it deals with the family and family issues, but it also deals with domestic violence. So it's definitely a good play that people should come out and support and see.
All right. So, what is the date again?
It's actually going to be January the 17th, and it's going to be held at Lee College. It's going to be two shows, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock p.m.
Okay. And let's introduce Miss Dannette K. Davis. Hey, Miss Davis, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm great.
You
I'm
have been in this arena for a long time. Introduce yourself and tell everybody where you are and what you're doing now.
well. Right now, I'm working. I have a production company, and it's called Insight. And Insight is it becomes the connection piece for all of the things that I've done. I think over the last 30 years, I began as a dancer, actress, and then director. Just over time, working with some of the local organizations. I started out with the ensemble and pieces like that. Shoots. I worked the stages. I mean, you name it. In Houston, back days ago, the acting thing was such an intriguing, and we were also excited about it. But through time, as you press through life, you start to realize that if you really love it, you can't really walk away from it. However, life happens to you, and some of us have to work for a living and do other things, but we just never stop doing what, just like Deborah mentioned, when there's something in you and it's pulling at you, you can't stop doing it.
Cannot stop.
Cannot.
So,
So
you brought up the God quoting. So, let's talk a little bit about that. How is this a ministry for you? And when did God call you to this ministry, Jeanette?
it's almost I want to call it it's a ministry, but it's a lifestyle, honestly, because it becomes ingrained in how I think and how I do everything that I do. Now, honestly, I want to say almost 10 years ago, because Christianity is real important to me. It's how I live my life, and theater is also very important to me. 10 years ago, I started a theater ministry at Windsor Village United Methodist Church. And the concept was to be able to integrate both of those things. A church of that size, I'm attending, I'm sitting there, and those messages that are there, I just knew that theater and doing theater, we'd be able to take that message to the next level and integrate, the kinds of things Debra talked about. She talked a little bit about, domestic violence, or am I not good enough? Sounds like to me, low self-esteem and some other things with women. There's just so many issues out there, but Jesus is always the answer. Okay? Always. And the answers are always in the Bible. But if you could somehow make them so they're palatable and people will accept them, you can teach that way. And that was something that I wanted to do with the ministry at the church. I wanted to take those issues and teach them in a way that people would accept them and learn without making it painful. A lot of times people feel accused when you just preach at them. But if you can let them see themselves, let them laugh a little bit at themselves, and then get that message out there at the same time, I feel like it's received better. That's what theater does anyway. Theater is a mirror we put in a mirror to our faces in our lives, and we're looking at it, and we enjoy that most that we can identify with. And so writing, and I think when I worked at the ensemble early on, I was there when George Hawkins, when that theater started. I was a part of that. And one of the things he wanted to do was use local writers and write his own and all of that. I think it gets a little financially challenging back then. But at the church, I was comfortable that if we could just be allowed to write everything that we perform and control the message, then we could really get some things said and do it in a platform where I wasn't pressed for that. With Debra, and I know you feel it every day. You gotta cover your expenses. You gotta have rehearsal space. You gotta, all those things, pull at you, and and I've already gone through that because I've already, put some shows up. I worked with Urban Theater and some other theaters around town, and it's so hard. I had to worry about ticket sales and things like that. But at the church, it's like once I decided it's not about me and it's not about the money at all, and we're just going to worry about the message. All I needed the church to do was make sure that we had the space. And one thing I like about church is that people are used to volunteering, and they're used to giving it to God and not looking for that dollar and that kind of thing. So I was able to take folk who just wanted to be in the ministry and train and grow them and that kind of thing, and still get the message out. So that was the thought behind doing it in a Christian setting, in a church, and that kind of thing. It's just that it's kind of hard. People are still people.
Yes.
Still run into some of the same kinds of things. And then if you actually get pretty good at it, then you start to, get into, egos and some other things. I mean,
all of that.
Right?
All of that.
I'm laughing because that is real, ladies. That is real. That is so real. So, Debra, tell us a little bit about some of your challenges in the theater and how has God performed miracles for you?
Oh, my God. You know what Dannette just said is so perfectly. All the challenges you face in and out of doing plays. If you're doing them at the church, you have problems. If you do them outside, you have problems. But the main thing, this is what I have learned about it. When God has ordained you to do it, He truly supplies everything you need. And I actually had to learn this the hard way, because I felt like, well, God, these people are working with me one minute, and the next minute they're working somewhere else. But God is telling me, no, Debra, I'm giving you what you need at this given point. So once you learn that concept and to trust God to do it all the way, you get a little bit more peace about it. But the main thing is to always do it, because I do know that these plays really do change people's lives. I hear it over and over. Oh, my God, this play was so real. How did you know my story? The main thing, we truly want people's lives to be changed. Me personally, I don't do it just to entertain people. You can get entertainment on TV. I truly want you to come to one of our shows and say, wow, I want to live my life a lot better. And thank you for the answer. Now I know what to do. But definitely it's challenges, Sharon. And then also, but like I say, we can't discount doing it at church because, it's ministry. And to me, it's truly ministry, But that's pretty much what I want to say. I can go on about that, but my mind takes me somewhere else.
So, Deborah, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
I've known you for a while, and I know that it's been a struggle sometimes to stay in this lane. What keeps you in this lane doing what God has called you to do? Because as a writer myself, and serving people, one of the biggest struggles that I have in ghostwriting and editing and is dealing with God's people and showing them the importance of their obedience, their right now obedience, and sometimes their submission. Because as a leader on a project, I often struggle with, I'm asking myself, because I see it in the eyes of those whom I serve, are you sure? I'm asking myself, is this what I'm supposed to do?
I know.
If I'm supposed to be leading these people in this direction, they're not responding the way they should, Lord. What is going on?
Oh my God, Sharon.
Oh God, what is going on? Experiences.
Let me help you with that. This is what I've also learned. We want to reach the masses. And sometimes God is only talking to that one individual. Let me tell you something. We had a chance to bring a play to New York City in Syracuse. God took this whole production to Syracuse, New York. And when it was all said and done, one lady at the end came and gave her life to Jesus. See, that's how much God loves you. He'll take a production from Houston, Texas to Syracuse, New York to save one soul. Did we catch hell trying to get to New York? Yes, we did. But when we got there, it was so worth it. This one lady gave her life to God. Hey, my work is done. You know what I'm saying? But I keep wanting to get the masses, all the thousands and thousands of people. And God is saying, no, I see this one soul that I'm really trying to get to. We just need to obey. He makes it all work. It's a learning process. And I can tell these new playwrights a whole lot of story because they think, ooh, I'm going to write a play and I'm going to be famous. And it's what your motives are. It's what your motives are.
Dannette, I'm going to ask you the same question. Tell us about some of those moments. Even in the church, I'm sure you face some of those personality struggles, the deeper personalities and the personalities. I'm this and I'm that, and so you need to bow down to me. So talk a little bit about, how you dealt with those personalities and how you stood firm. Because I know in some of my directing and producing experiences of plays, I tell you, everybody wanted to lead a play, child. They didn't know where I was taking them, but you know what? I was trusting God. Talk to me a little bit about that, Dannette.
And I'll start there, like you said, with the church. And the first thing I'm going to say is, it's not about me. And I think trying to get other people to understand, when you're trying to get them to understand it not being about them or what have you, then when you run into some of those things, you press, because if you stop at all, then you don't get it done. So when it's in your mind that you got this message, I think it's wonderful when you're working at the church. I'm gonna say this: you and a strong pastor, he's got a message, so you're running behind the message. It's really interesting to me, Debra, that the church ministry, unlike a single play that's written, even though we did several 2-act plays, the day-to-day and week-to-week thing was making sure that you in line with the message that the church is going in. So as we were doing things, you teaching some things. I have some young ladies in place, and it may be several skits we were doing. We were introducing festivals and some things, which is a new concept over at Windsor. And we had some young ladies. So you're going to wear this, you're going to wear that, and you'd have to say, okay, oh, that's a little tight.
Right.
We're going to be up on top of the stage. We have to run, girl, go by pantyhose and switch stuff behind. But see, because it's a ministry and these are young women, you're teaching and explaining why you're doing what you're doing. to them that, inside of not just God's house, but how you present yourself matters. Okay. And so I'm not just, and this is a skit. Why do you care if this is? But then at the same time, I'm teaching Christian values and values that will help you as a woman, values that, because everything we do and everything we say, people are always watching.
Yes.
Always teaching. And it sounds like a small thing, but when I tell you a young woman who really does not understand that you don't dress to the club and dress to church the same and does not understand why, it's not so much that you don't do it, it's what you're trying to say about yourself, what you're really after in your life. You want a husband, you want a this or whatever stuff, how you carry yourself, low self-esteem, value, and that kind of thing. It's all intermingled in who God is and how you teach and that kind of thing. So when my focus, back to Sharon's question, is on teaching them, because when you're working with people, they have their problems, they bring them with them to the rehearsals, it. Whatever. So as you work through the rehearsals, you don't know from beginning to end how you're also growing the person in the process. It's not about me.
Amen.
So as I'm into God and we're writing this play, and the play is, say we did a play about numbers, and numbers is everything, and it's called Numbers. Numbers is everything. It's so many messages. It wasn't one story or what have you, but the people in the play were going through various things as well. So as we taught the message, and they kept having to show up even though they were upset or things were going wrong and somebody lost a job, and all those things were happening, those messages you were teaching was gluing them and strengthening them and pulling through. So it's always greater than what it is you're doing. God is always up to something else.
Always.
You can't worry about, that's what the message you made, okay, but you have to, it matters to you that you saved one soul. Everybody is not, thinking like that.
Exactly.
So when I'm in Christian theater, I have to be, because I know I'm going to run into that. I mean, it's little things like, you didn't have this building assigned for tonight, and I'm arguing with the custodian people. And okay, you know what? We will rehearse outside on this sidewalk. How about that? We will stay out. The hurricane was coming. I'm very serious. We work on a play.
Wow.
The hurricane was coming, and the folk were trying to shut down, but the building wasn't. But I had all these people show up, and we're going to rehearse. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. Jesus is in control. We're talking. Do you not? So the thing with Christianity and working in theater, I think what I'm saying, Sharon, is that it always had to be about something bigger than you, because if I ever got caught up in personalities or about somebody making it hard for us to do things like rehearse, we got to go. Now we got one more scene. We just need 5 more minutes. I got to go. I ain't nobody paying me overtime. It was so hilarious. Those things happen all the time, but I knew what that was, and I'm like, if I press on, then they may kicking and screaming come along. And Sharon, it's back to your point. You're saying, why don't they listen to me? I know that this is what God has ordained, and they're not hearing me, but you persevere, and kicking and screaming, those people came along. Well, I'm so excited now with what I'm not there. I'm gone from that ministry, but 8 years later, they're still going on. I know they premiered a 2-act play last night.
Wow.
They did one, and we did what you call we did the Seder meal that started out as just a meal, and they wanted us to pantomime. We turned it into a full performance with, and after 3 or 4 years, Kathy Taylor and the whole thing came on board, and it's a full musical that they do once a year, and they set to a sellout crowd, running 4 nights a week, went from 2 nights to 3 nights to 4 nights. We did a play called Mary, Mary, which is really the story of it's the crucifixion and the resurrection of Christ, but we decided to look at it from another perspective, and this is what I'm getting at. I tried to do things because we all grew up. You grow up in a Christian environment,
Right.
and you used to things one way, but God has so many messages and so many things to teach us. If we just dig deeper.
Yes, Sonny.
About Mary Magdalene and whether or not she was there almost as an apostle, or she was, and we set it up where she financed. I mean, the way when you do things with a twist and get people involved and make it real to them, then they listen and they see things a little differently and can relate it to their lives. And then the Bible is not so boring. anymore.
Exactly.
Stories are, so what I tried to do in my 8 years while I was there was bring it, to life, do things in a way, always make them laugh. We always, I'm a comedy person. I kind of like to put a little twist in it, so that, because you got to laugh at yourself, because I don't want you to cry, because you'll cry. We'll cry if we don't
Yeah, you
laugh.
cry too.
So that was the Christian thing, and I'm so excited now that they're a permanent fixture over there at the church. And I think in the beginning my thing was, with all the wonderful singing and all the wonderful preaching they had going, it just didn't make sense that they didn't have a theater program as strong as the balance of it. That was my objective, and it's done. And so I've moved on. In the middle of doing that, though, Sharon, I never stopped doing theater, other places and that kind of thing. And the birth of insight came from that Christian thing that I was experiencing there, because you never, church is a time, so you get that 5 minutes, you get that 6 minutes, and just like on TV, they're almost ready to cut you off because everything. So what I learned how to do was tell a story very well in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And that whole story had to be there. So we got really, really good at that. And what I decided, I have a business, and I love business or what have you, but it's the same thing. There's a message, and there's a better way to tell it. So what I did was I took the Christian concept and value, and decided to create Insight. It's called Insight Productions Company, because we take with a Christian spin.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with whatever your theme is, whatever it is you're working on. We write to that We write to that theme, and we can do it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Wow, I like that.
We mix. I mix business with theater, as opposed to having a speaker. We'll take that message and put it before you in the form of a little 10, 15-minute skit or what have you.
I like that. That's a great idea.
What Insight does. And it's honestly, I put together a marketing campaign, but I've never had to, every time it's been by invitation. So the last 3 years, I'm always twice a year, somebody's reaching out and wanting you to do it because they saw it somewhere else, what have you. So that's the beginning and the origin of Insight.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. Yeah. Now, Debra, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to me how this ministry has enriched your life personally. How has it made you a better Christian?
Oh my God. Honestly, how can I say? Every production has brought me a little bit closer to God, because all along the way He was teaching me Him. You know what I'm saying? And every little journey you have to take, you get a little bit closer to God, because I've learned you have to know God from all aspects. We hear people say, I know God as a doctor, but sometimes you might need to know Him as a lawyer or a friend or a healer. And I think God allowed me, just like Dannette said a minute ago, He sends us the people, but these people are truly our assignments. We get to minister to the cast first, because the plays that I write are truly inspirational plays. And the messages sometimes for the people that's the cast members. They get convicted a lot. They were like, oh my God. And I said, think it's not strange that God have you in this production. You see what I'm saying? Because He's ministering to the cast first, and then to the people second. So Sharon, to answer your question, look, I'm still a work in progress. Lord knows I have a lot to still learn, but I think the main thing, my obedience toward God, has taught me to really trust Him. And I'm a person, I can be a little gullible at times, so I put trust in people a whole lot, because in my nature, you can trust me. So I kind of feel like people operate the way I do, but I find that to be not the case. You see what I'm saying? So God has really have taught me, trust me, no matter what it looks like, especially if you know for sure this is something He's told you to do. Now, a lot of times we can do stuff on our own, and He said, I didn't breathe on that because I didn't sanction that.
Right.
That's you.
That was you.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I've learned to really, God, is this you? Because He has never failed me. And, and I'm telling you, in 25 years, I have learned a lot. But right now, I'm thankful for the relationship I have with God. Not that I have arrived, because I still have a whole lot of areas. But I can see Him a lot clearer now. And I have learned just to be me, Deborah L. Atkins. It's only one. People always say, oh, you're going to be the next Tyler Perry. No, I'm not trying to be the next Tyler Perry. I'm just trying to be Deborah L. Atkins, because Tyler Perry has his own journey. You have your own journey. But this world is so big, it's a place for everybody. And the beauty of that is we all need each other. No man can stand alone. We all have something each other need, but too many times we don't want to share, your gifts and talent. Oh, because she's going to make an extra dollar more than me. If we can get past that mentality, this world will be so much better. I don't mind helping people. Sharon, you have helped me a lot over the years, and I feel like I maybe help you in my own special way, but it all works together as one, like my production company. That was a little plug. It's not showing up on the screen. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, I just think, I have learned a whole lot to answer your question. And this production company has actually brought me a lot closer to God.
Well, I don't know if Dannette knows my story, and I don't know if you remember my story, but the first thing that I started to write was poetry. And then after I started writing poetry, I did 2 plays. And I understand what it's like for the Lord to give you something for somebody else to perform. And the thing that has really blessed my life in that part of my life, I haven't written a play in a long time, but talking to you guys, y'all making me want to do that.
Yeah, write it.
One of the things that actually I have written a screenplay recently for one of my clients, but it's not a Christian play, and so I may want to revisit that. But what I want to say to you guys, I don't know if I told you about my story of the first play I did, how I finally got my cast to work in, and I had to get an errand. You know how Moses had to get an errand?
Right. I feel you on that with Sharon.
I had to get an errand. And the actual day of the play, I had to do it in a church. I did it in a church, and praise God, these people had confidence in God, because that was obvious. But do you know I went and hid in the closet, and they had to come and find me at the end of the play? Did I ever tell y'all that story?
No, never heard that story.
I was like, these people, they're not going to, I don't know if they're going to like the play or not or whatever, and I was all wrapped up in that. Do you know when they found me and brought me out front, do you know they gave us a standing ovation?
Yes.
And what I'm saying to you,
that's crazy.
Sometimes you have to do stuff like Joyce Meyer said, do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Do it.
It's always afraid.
Always.
It's you know what? We have to press. That's funny that you should say do it afraid, because if we stopped when we felt fear, I just don't know where I'd be. I literally operate in fear all the time. But every time we used to go on stage, every time I'd go up, I didn't feel like I was going up if I didn't have that jitters right before I went up. And you use and you push through that. And I've used that in business. I use it in everything, because it's not us. It's like fear means if you can't cower to fear, but that's something I think I've had to learn or what have you, is that you just press on, and then what's in you comes out. Like, you crush coal and you get diamond or what have you, what's in you comes out. That's why I've always told my cast, rehearsal, practice makes perfect, and that is so true. And if you've done it enough and you're confident, when you're on that stage, what you've learned comes out. That's where it shows. I don't care how nervous you are or what have you, it's there. And that's with you, Sharon. I mean, you're an excellent writer.
Excellent.
You're an excellent motivator. And I wish more people would take. This is a commercial for you. I wish more people would take advantage of your writing assistance and things that aspire to write books and things like that. Because I don't know that they realize what your services are, or that they can get those kind of services. I wish we could get to more novice writers to talk about what you do, because they need guidance like that, the publishing and things like that, because they don't know that you're there. Sharon, you've helped me, and I don't know about Debra, but I always tell this story about how when I was getting up I said, Sharon, I got to do a speech. You know, I don't do speeches all the time. We write plays and do things, but to get up and do this is business, and I don't have one done. Sharon, just in, I don't know, minutes, she wrote it, texted to me. I'm literally up there trying to get the camera, the phone, to read the speech that she had written me, quoting Martin Luther King and all of that in a matter of minutes. I'll never forget you for that, Sharon. That was you're just fantastic.
I love you guys too, but I want the world to know, and I want the world to know that there are Christian Shondarons out there. And that's what I see when I see Dannette, and that's what I see when I see Debra. Now, Debra, you deal more with the writing side of the house. I've watched the Lord sit you down at the table with a pen. And every time I come over to visit you, no matter what time or season it is, you're working on another play. Talk to us a little bit about that creative process, ladies.
Well, let me say this. I am truly an inspirational writer. And sometimes me and God kind of have words about this, because I have written over 60 plays. Some of them are full length, some of them are sketches, some of them are skits. And I said, God, you keep giving me all this information. If you just can open up one big door where I can have all these things perform, you know. I have 2 brand new plays right now that I just finished writing. You know, one is called Life Goes On. Excellent play. It's a continuation from So Many Secrets and So Many Lies. And then a brand new play called The Sons We Were Meant to Be. And it's dealing with Alzheimer's, because Black people don't talk about that community. And this is going to be a good play with the family and the mother who's dealing with Alzheimer's. So I have these brand new scripts just kind of sitting here. In the meantime, I'm still working on finally good enough. So I'm like, okay, God, you're giving me all this information for, you know, just to keep adding it up. I mean, maybe one day the big door is going to open and I'm going to be ready, because I have all kind of, you have a storyline, I'm sure I have a play about it. I promise.
Oh, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. So what advice would you ladies, because we're coming to the close of the show, what advice would you ladies offer aspiring playwrights, producers, and directors? Starting with you, Debra, since you're up.
Okay, I would just say obey God, because a lot of times we get this, you know, this idea and it won't go away. I would just tell them, go with that feeling. It's the Holy Ghost. It's telling you, this is what I'm telling you to do. A lot of times we let people talk us out of, oh, you're not a writer, you're not an actor. But God knows all. He knows what he's doing. You know, so I just tell people to go with it, and he will send you what you need, especially if it's coming from God. Now, how do you know it's coming from God? Somewhere down the line, it's going to either edify him, edify his people, you know, or change life, because God does have a standard. Now, you know, you can't say, do all this crazy sexual stuff and say, oh, this is what God told me to write. No, boo, that's another spirit, and that's a whole other conversation. But for those people who are very sincere and they have this little idea that will not go away and it keeps eating at them, I would tell them to write what you can, and then God has somebody like a Sharon Jenkins that can come along and help edit it, and then he'll send the producers like Dannette Davis or Debra Atkins, we produce too, they'll help you get to that next level. Okay? But go ahead. I'm not going to take up more time because I know it's short.
But actually, I had one other question popped in my head. So I'll let Dannette give her advice, and then I'll come back to you, Debra.
Okay.
Dannette?
Okay. And this is a little, I guess, a little mini commercial, because I didn't plug the play that I did in March, called Bag Ladies. Speaking of producing, you know, and Bag Ladies actually came out of a church piece, Debra, that was a series of monologues, working in collaboration with Ms. Roach Boken. And it's like what you said. I just want to share this because this was a piece that got in my head, because the pieces dealt with women, baggage, women's issues, and it was during a period of time. We're in a political time now where there's a lot of pushback with women and people trying to roll back the time.
Mm-hmm.
We got all these abortion things and all these other things, abuse. There's a lot of things that are going on, and I don't know if the masses are really paying attention. And so we were writing this thing. It took 2 years to fully put the piece together. and I ran into some obstacles. I thought I had some partners and things like that, just like you said. And felt so moved to produce the piece after we had worked so hard on it that I ended up totally producing it. And just like you said, there were things that put in place, there were obstacles, but I pressed on and we got it done. And it's the kind of piece that speaks to you where you have to do it. And just like you said, honestly, it was a loss when you talk about financially but what I learned and what is to become of that experience or what have you. I think that's something that God had. I think so. My advice, what I'm getting to, is for those of you who think it's going to be easy and that you're always going to make money or things are going to fall into place or that the resource He will create. I mean, it depends on all when you count it out joy and things work out to where you can get it done to where, like you said, He has a standard. So it has to be, it'll be at His standard. But if you think sometimes it's not going to cost you,
it will cost you everything.
Then that's the test. You don't need to. You don't be there. If you can't stay, because God, there's nothing. I remember a sermon. You get what you fight for. It was a series that Caldwell did, and honestly, that I'll never forget that message because that's very honest and very true. So I think what I'm saying to people is if they think this road is easy. If you feel like you said you're gonna write a play and it's gonna just tell you everybody's gonna just oh great, I am the next Tyler Perry, or you're gonna do a show and produce it and everybody's gonna come and they're gonna blow up, because it's good and it may be very good, but there's so many people who write very good shows. Yes, there are excellent actors everywhere, and there are people doing what we do, Deborah. But as a lot of folks fell along the way, that I can go back a lot of years. There's a lot of folks fell along the way who are very talented.
Yes, that's
very well.
True.
So the race is not to necessarily the swift, and you know how it goes. That's very true. So I want to say to somebody, if you're interested in doing this thing, you need to be totally committed and in it for the long haul, because it will not be easy.
It will not.
Okay, that's the first thing. One more little short thing is that bring all your bags, bring all your tools, bring all your talents, bring everything, and put it all and make it all available to God, and then see how He rolls it out for you. You're very clear about your writing. I have a few things that I do. We're doing a video project or what have you, because I am more of a visionary. I'll write. It's not. It doesn't roll out of me as quick. I write when I have to. I'm the kind of person. I'm the big picture. I'll write or what have you. People who like to write, and then I'll flush it out, and that kind of thing, and produce it and see it, that kind of thing. Same thing with a film or what have you. So, because I'm doing an interview series, I think is important. So I think my challenge and what God has for me, little different from what you're doing, but I have to act on it, just like you're saying, and it's never easy. So I say to those, bring everything that you have and be willing to lay it out there and let God open the doors. And when that door is open, it'll roll. When you bumping your head, He may be saying no.
He may be.
Sometimes the answer is just no. And
yes, it is. Sometimes.
I'm going to leave it at that. Sometimes the answer is no, and we need to do something else. I mean, it ain't always people, just because you decide you want to be a star, you decide you're going to, that may not be. And the last thing is, we have to decide in life that everybody can't be a big, gigantic star.
That's right.
But your realm of influence, you don't know, you got to be good with what God has for you.
Amen.
Good with that, because if you're not, you'll be operating in somebody else's
realm.
You won't be doing what God has you to do, and you won't succeed like that, because you'll always be somewhere else rather than where He can't use you. You know what I'm saying? So that's my advice to people. There's a couple of things. It's not going to be easy, and bring everything you have to bear, put it out there, and let God direct you. That would be my advice to people who want to do things in theater, and just kind of pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention, because He'll show you, He'll guide you.
Amen. That's good advice.
Phenomenal.
It might not always be the perfect timing, too. That's the thing we need to add. Sometimes it's not the right timing. Like I said, God gives us plays. I have written plays I have not produced, and I've written them over 10 years ago. So He has a perfect timing. But that's it, Sharon. I know your time. Tag, you're it.
Well, actually, one other question I have for you guys. We live in a multicultural world, and Houston is how can I say it, the example for the nation.
Yes.
The minorities are growing by leaps and bounds, but God is not a God that's a respecter of persons.
Amen.
So how do you reach the masses, the multicultural masses? How do you do that? Because your message is just as legitimate and
Yeah.
just as powerful and just as pertinent as any message that we might see on Daystar or TVN or in any of those venues or media outlets that speak about God. So I'm curious, what is your plan, ladies, for reaching the masses, especially here in the
Yes.
multicultural Houston?
Deborah, you
Actually,
want to
I'm
take
gonna go
one?
ahead and take that first. I know in that area, I really do have to do a lot better because I have mostly been working with African American people. But the messages all deal with life, social, moral issues that everybody's affected by. So right now, I am in the process of auditioning all kind of people to have these roles. Yeah, in the past, I can honestly say it's mostly been just Black American, actors and actresses. But right now, I do need to go a little deeper than what I'm doing. And I'm asking all kind of people right now to come out and audition for the shows. So yeah, that's something I definitely need to correct because I made that mistake in the past.
And and it's okay if you're called to the African American market. I'm not
Right.
saying that that's not okay, but what I am saying is that in the city that we live in, there are so many
So much
other
talent.
markets that
Yes,
you can reach out to because everybody needs to know Jesus. At least the last
everybody.
time I read the book, that's what it says. What you say, Dannette?
Well, you're absolutely right, and because as integrated as Houston is, or what have you, it's interesting. It's still a kind of segregated place, or it can
Yes.
be. So what I honestly, it's on purpose, Sharon. My answer to you is, and Deborah, it has to be on purpose, right?
Mhm.
You choose to live in a particular neighborhood on purpose. I sent the kids to a school on purpose to make sure that they got that diverse interaction. So with Bag Ladies, it's a woman's story. It's not a black or it's not African American. It's not white or Asian or Hispanic. It is a woman's story. So on purpose, I called Main Street Theater on purpose. I went to other agencies and I called people and said, do you know any Hispanic actresses? I purposely said this character, I want her to be white or Hispanic or Asian. This guy, I want him to be white. I purposefully did that. Two reasons. Number one, because of the realness of that, and then I wanted the cast to interact in that way, and then I wanted
Mhm.
to pull the diverse community. And when you're starting, even though honestly, Deborah, because of what I've seen and known about the ensemble theater or what have you, you can get the audience to if you're true to the message. All
Right.
communities will come and watch a message, even if it's an African American story, because it's just a story. As long
Right.
as the story is a genuine story, all kinds of people, if you reach out to the markets to say, yeah, everybody needs to know this, they will follow. Trust me.
We have had all kind of audiences come to my play, but I can honestly say we actually have worked with Hispanics and some white, but it's not the majority. You know what I'm saying? I've never just produced an all white cast or all Hispanic cast or a mixture. It's maybe one character here, one character there. But I do have all kind of support. I hate to say one of my best supporters is Carolyn, and she's an older white lady, loves it. She comes to everything I produce. She comes, I said, Carolyn, you've already seen this play. Oh, but I love it. She'll come way across town. She'll go to Beaumont just to see it. It's just something she connects to. And she
That's
tries to
because
get her friends to come, and she has brought friends. So like Sharon, you said it a minute ago, it's just the message, getting the message out. No matter, it's not a color thing by no means. And like I said, I'm going to do better than that. Now that I'm retired, I have a little bit more time to really do it. But it was hard at first. You're trying to work, produce shows, and you just pretty much work with what you have. You
I'm
know?
gonna tell you that what I enjoy sharing, like I said, on purpose, reaching out and creating that multicolored cast, and it was the most interesting thing when they started out. Late, you did see some of the folk pulling together of the various races and things because naturally we do that. But then what happens is really this is such a diverse. It became people who were like. It wasn't about complexion. It was only complexion because in the beginning you didn't know each other.
Right.
So it was just like people thinking that. But what they found out was more afterwards, halfway through, the like people were hanging out together. It wasn't the complexion.
Right.
It was the folk who did a lot of the same things, talked about it a lot. You know what I'm saying? Watched and liked a lot of the same music. And so the hangout folk became that. And so to me, I enjoy that. I think it's honestly, Sharon, the answer is on purpose. I think we need to that, just like Joel Osteen. If you want to know why he's so successful, I hear people criticize him and say, oh, his message is so light.
No.
And he doesn't go dig deeper and things like that. But he appeals to the masses because he has a message that is genuine and everybody feels comfortable. Not that he doesn't tell the truth, because he does to me.
Oh yeah.
And he's anointed. But in his spirit, I get that he really is receptive to all races, and he truly understands what Christianity is all about. And I think we have to, on purpose, stretch ourselves, Deborah, and make sure that
I am on purpose. I promise. I receive that, woman of God.
There you go. I think that's what the answer is, Sharon. I say it's on purpose, and we need to be leaders. I think is what we do, and then people will feel more comfortable, and it'll grow. You know, when they do music, they create crossover music and stuff on purpose. It's not by accident. Okay, so careers are built. So that's, I think, the answer to diversity.
Well, ladies, I know the next time you do a performance, I will be there, and you will have a packed house. And I just want to thank you for your courage to get up and try again, to be ferocious, about the calling that God has on your life. And so my prayer is for both of you all, that you will no longer be a secret, but be exposed to the world, not because you want fame or not because you want to take God's glory, but because your message, your experience dictates that the world listens to what you have to say. And I just need you all to tell them how to contact you if they want to be in some of your productions.
Yes.
Want to pick your brain about what's happening in that world. So, Deborah, you're up.
Okay, you can find me. The easiest way I guess you can find me is go to www.debralatkins.com, and it'll give you my website, workingtogetheras1.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Debra L. Atkins on Facebook. Definitely, because at this point I'm definitely looking for actors for this new production that I'm working on. And if they just need to call me, they can call me at 832-423-9090.
Okay, Miss Dannette Davis.
All right.
I love her.
Insight, that's your little commercial. Insight Production Company, and we're www.insightprodco. PROD co for Insight Productions Company.com. You can find us there. And my number is 713-705-8833. Again, Insight Productions Company. We have a website and a Facebook page as well. I am working on a video series, and as soon as we, it's historical. It's about Houston. It's called Houston Treasures. I just have this thing about Houston that people, honestly, even those that live here, don't understand the importance and the greatness and how we operate and why we're always on top, why we never went under. There's some things about Houston that are just uniquely Houston. And there's an interview video series that I'm doing that will be probably 9 people total that we're going to do in the first series. We've done 3, and then there'll be 3 more next year and 3 by the end of the next year. So we'll just stay tuned. If you'll check the website or what have you, it's going to be held over at the TSU Law School. James Douglas is one of the profiles. I can tell you now, James Douglas, Rem Lawson, and Georgia Provost were first treasurers that we've already interviewed. It's going to be a fantastic series. They know some things that will blow your mind, honestly. So stay tuned. Anyway, that's it.
Well, ladies, again, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for persevering with us. And we are going to make sure that everybody who said they wanted to attend will get a copy of this show, and actually it will be on YouTube when we finish. And so I'll make sure I send it to you all. But one thing I want to leave with my listening audience and my viewing audience is the fact that, you know, technology, all this wonderful new technology, we love it, love it, love it. But we have to persevere when we, if we want to use it. And so I want to thank you for grace and mercy, but most importantly, I want you to I want to thank you for tuning in today, because the message, these two women are dynamic women in Houston. And I can tell you that we're going to uncover them in the days to come. We want more of you all to know about them. And so this isn't the first time that you'll hear from them. They're coming back. They don't know it, but they are coming back, because we need to let the world know that there are a lot of Christian Shonda Rhimes out there. And we need to let them know that we truly love and have a message for the masses from our Heavenly Father. Oh, well. So thank you for tuning in today. This is the Master Communicator. You can find out more about me at Sharon C. Jenkins on Facebook, or go to SharonCJenkins.com, and you will find out everything you want to know about me at SharonCJenkins.com. Have a great one, and we'll be back the third Saturday of this month. Bye-bye. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
You too.